Hello everyone, this is Global Fashion Workshop. I remind you that we post new videos every day. I also want to remind you that some of my video courses are already available. Buy them if you haven't done it yet. I would really appreciate your support. Today, I'd like to show you how to make a pattern for an interesting dress with a waist seam. Have a look at the picture. Unfortunately, the waistband in the picture does not allow us to examine the design properly and see all of the lines. At least, I can see that one detail is double. It means that there is a waist seam here. This detail is separate. It is also possible not to make the waistband around the waist, but to sew it only from the seam to the seam. I'll show you how to do it. I'm pretty sure that such design would also look very interesting. Have a close look at the picture. There is also seam in the center front. The skirt is symmetrical. I'm going to make just one half of this dress. In this video, I'll show you how to make a pattern. And in the next video, I'll show you the cutting and taking. I'll also show you in detail how to stitch the multi-layered detail. It's quite complicated. Have a look at the mini pattern we made. There is an extension for a button stand on the center front. The tags will be combined with the pin tags. There is a seam on the center front. You can see that the design is pretty complicated. In the next video, we'll show you the technique for gathering the details. It's not as easy as it seems. There are some things you need to know before you start working with the garment. Let's get down to work. The back pattern doesn't require any changes. I can move it aside. I'll be working just with the front. I'm going to draw a pattern for the dress. This is the center front. Do not forget to sign it. It should be the first line you draw in the pattern. I need to apply the pattern to this line. I'll pin it. The length of the dress down from the waistline will be 55 centimeters. You can make it as long as you want. I remind you that I'm drawing the pattern for the front. This is the bottom line. I want to make a skirt a bit tighter at the bottom. This is the waistline. Do not forget to sign it. You should draw the lines that correspond to your body. My body is pretty perfect. Square. You already know how to work with the basic patterns. I've shown you how to make different necklines and colors. Watch the series of the videos on working with the basic patterns if you haven't done it yet. I can move the basic pattern aside. I need to draw the waistline. Watch the way I'm drawing the waistline. Have a look at the pattern. I've extended its length. I also need to add 2.5 centimeters for a button stand to the center front. I'm drawing the button stand up from the waistline. I'll sign it. This is the button stand extension. I'll shade it. When we join the two sides, there will be buttons on the center front. I hope that everything is clear so far. I need to cut the pattern. As you already know, my hips are pretty high. The waist to hip is 11 centimeters. But I never emphasize it. And I always make this distance 17 or 18 centimeters in my garments. It's better to emphasize your figure virtues and to ignore figure flaws. Think about everything in advance. No one knows your body better than you do. Sometimes it's better to hide some parts of our bodies. I've cut the pattern. Have a look at the picture once again. The button stance goes below the waistline. This detail will be made separately. In this pattern, the button stand should be made just above the waistline. I'm sure that the dress will be absolutely amazing. I hope that you enjoyed the designs that I show you. In this video, I show you only the pattern making. And in the next video, I'll explain the technique for sewing the front. This is the front. This is the button stand extension. Please be very attentive. There is a seam on the center front in the lower part of the skirt. I'll sign it. The seam, the lengthwise grain. It's a must. The skirt should be cut on the lengthwise grain. The upper part will be cut on the bias, and it will cause some difficulties. I need to close the original dart opening. You can see that the original dress was cut on the lengthwise grain. Probably it's because the model had the small bust. I can't cut the details this way. Unfortunately, most of the patterns from the European magazines do not fit our bodies. We tried using them many times. But usually, in such patterns, the size of the bust dart depends on the size of the garment. But in fact, for example, Ola's bust is twice bigger than in those patterns. This is why they did not work. Magazines offer some interesting designs, but their patterns do not suit us. This is why I wanted to learn to work with the basic patterns. Having a perfect basic pattern, you'll be able to sew a garment that fits you perfectly without any problems. Have a look at the pattern. The lower part of the tag will be combined with the pin tag. As for the upper part, we'll decide later. Probably we'll make both a tag and a pin tag. We'll decide what to do when we cut the dress. Let's continue working. What about this detail? It will be about 14 centimeters long. There's something very interesting about this detail. I'll show you. There should be a button stand extension in this detail as well. It should be 2.5 centimeters wide as well. As I've said, the length of this detail is 14 centimeters. I need to measure and mark it. Be very attentive. Extend the width of the detail to the bottom, but just a bit. Have a close look here. Due to the fact that the opening of the chest dart is pretty big, the detail is inclined. So I can extend its length a bit. And make it one piece. When I join the details, this part will be double. You might decide to do something differently. You can make a seam here if you want to. If the opening of the chest dart is smaller, you need to make a seam on the waistline, from the tag to the tag. In the next video, I'll explain the technique for sewing it. The facing for this detail should be one piece anyway, even if you make a waist seam. Besides, this detail was cut on a bias. We'll need to double it with the interfacing material. The interfacing material has to be cut on the lengthwise grain. It will prevent the fabric from deformation. If you have a full bust, and you can make this detail one piece, cut it this way. Or you can make a waist seam here. It would also be okay. Have a look at this part. In the next video, I'll show you how to gather it. You shouldn't cut it. The extra fabric will be used for making tags and pin tags. Please be patient and wait for the next video. That's all for today. Let's be different and beautiful every day together. My name is Irina Paukshte. Buy my courses, subscribe to my channel, write comments, share the videos, press the like and the bell buttons. I would really appreciate your support. Thank you. Goodbye.